Where am I looking? We are at 7:12. Excuse me while I die here for a second. So I guess I should kind of start the meeting. Nobody else has really joined us. As normal, I will probably edit out some of our earlier conversation here and then upload this to our YouTube channel. I'll start our meeting as I always do, that all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Hide that. This will be our last online monthly meeting for the year. This is 12 of them now that we've had. This is our first year that we've gone online. I want to say I kind of have mixed feelings on our success of them. I find it's much easier for me, though, to at least be here at a certain time and be able to try and reach out and connect. Although about 5 o'clock this evening, I almost walked out of the house to go out and say, "Hey, honey, let's go for dinner," completely forgetting that I have meetings this evening. But I could remember.
Tell Alexa to remind me all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would have been at the restaurant getting reminders going, "Oh, fuck, what am I going to do now?" or something like that. I may have even been back in time. I don't know. But with that said, I want to pull back this down. I can see it a little bit there. National legislative news. The big talk is, again, what we talked about probably last month, the MORE Act. Of course, not a whole lot of anything is going to be happening through the rest of the holiday until we get into the new year. All we can do is, if you're sending out Christmas cards, write one to your legislators and tell them to co-sponsor, sign on, support the MORE Act. Let's get that trying to move through. I know it may get to a point where Mitch McConnell gets there and it'll never get any further. I hate to say that.
My brother lives in Cincinnati. I suggested that he move his family to Kentucky for the election.
Just for the election. And yeah, write your legislators. It's that time of year. As far as a lot of the other legislation at federal level, I haven't seen any real movement on it. There is the Cannabis Caucus, the Congressional Cannabis Caucus, so we would ask you to contact your legislators on that, federal level congressional legislators to sign on as members of the Cannabis Caucus. And of course, we are, actually, I tried to find the start date of the second part of the 123rd session of the South Carolina legislature. Oh, maybe that button will tell me something. Let me see here. Nope, not yet. I think it tends to be around the third week, the beginning of the third week or something like that of January. So again, we're probably 4 or so weeks out. That doesn't mean, again, you can't start writing little Christmas cards, whatever it is, holiday wishes to your legislators and say, hey, we support marijuana legislation, we support cannabis legislation. And with that comment made, I did look, and let's see if I can figure this out here. I think that's screen share. Nothing happened. Uh-oh. Oh, something happened there. Ta-da! I'm guessing you all can see whatever that is that is in my way now.
Yeah.
And move this around. And this is the, for some reason it's hidden behind a control panel up top. The scstatehouse.gov site. If you go to their home page, There is, can you see my cursor moving here, Karen?
No, I just see the screen changing.
You see the screen changing? Okay.
Oh, maybe something's in red, so maybe that's where your cursor is.
No, I'm down below that a little bit, but I don't think I have the same view of it. I'm hopefully it's down below some of the red. It says quick search. There's a little search box in there, and you can click the one radio button next to the word legislation. And then up in the search box, you type in the word marijuana, and this is what pops up here. And this is, you'll notice on this one, right at the kind of top underneath the brown bar at the top, a little writing says 20 matches found. And this is South Carolina state legislation. There are 20 pieces of legislation currently in the State House. It covers a lot of different things, so I'm not going to go into it all right now. There's sentencing reform for larger amounts of, I think, 10 ounces of marijuana and more. It talks about heroin, blah, blah, blah. There are two I really want to kind of point out. The first one that I had known about, I'm going to click screens, is H3276. And this is a bill by Ivory Thigpen, Democrat in a district, I don't have it in the top of my head, but it very near Columbia, and the other one is also a legislator up near Columbia in a district up there. And the first one here, H3276, is one that I've probably talked about before. It is a proposal to decriminalize possession of less than an ounce of marijuana or 10 grams or less of hashish, and authorize law enforcement to issue a civil citation for possession of that same amount quantity of marijuana or hashish. To decrease penalty, and it's also looking to decrease penalties for first offense possession of less than 1 gram of methamphetamine or cocaine based and require completion of drug treatment rehabilitation program as part of the sentence. I think that's not part of the marijuana part. But anyway, tying a penalty reduction for methamphetamine and for cocaine based into a decriminalization bill for cannabis doesn't, to me, look like a good match.
I think we talked about the fact that this is not a good idea.
That this is not a good idea. Well, what came to me just the other day when I was doing the search, I had actually reached out to Representative Thigpen, and he was willing to talk to me on the phone. And he was, I guess when I kind of reached out, he was like, oh, I'm in an airport right now. I'm traveling to Columbia, and then from there I have to drive to the Charleston area. And when I get to Charleston, I could probably get on the phone with you for a little bit. So he was actually somewhere nearby and here in Charleston. I had a few minutes to talk with him. And I was just asking, for the most part, is this bill still active? Part of my lack of understanding of how the legislature works here in South Carolina, I thought they had to sort of reintroduce in the second half. But no, it's actually still, I guess it's suspended animation until they start again. It may even be, it could possibly be in discussions in meetings and committees and things like that, I'm assuming. But they don't officially start up the second half of the legislature till January. Anyway, while I was going through the 20 different pieces of legislation, I haven't gotten through them all. I was primarily looking for decriminalization, and I found H4313. H4313 is my new friend. This is a bill to amend section 44-53-370, a code of the laws of South Carolina, 1976, related to controlled substances, offenses, and penalties, so as to decriminalize possession of 28 grams or 1 ounce or less of marijuana or 10 grams or less of hashish, and to authorize law enforcement to issue a civil citation for possession of that same quantity of marijuana or hashish.
Ooh.
It adds nothing else on as far as, and it looks like the wording is the same. The two legislators may have said, "Here, yeah, you can use this if you want to tack something onto it. Good luck." This, to me, if we could get our troops rallied around it, I think could be a thing. Now, mind you, maybe not a thing today. And that's why I'm trying this little town by town decrim with Folly Beach right now, and you know, as we grow that process, and I'll touch on base on what we're doing that in a couple moments. It's still just you and I on here. I don't think there's much more to worry about the time factor. Let me just look. But anyway, that to me is a very good bill. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share for a moment, go back to the screen. No, okay, there's still you and I here. So we can talk indefinitely with just two of us. Excuse me again. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it, but I have started at least doing some regular posts about it. Again, for anybody who's watching this later online, contact your legislator here in South Carolina. Let them know. Decriminalize possession of less than an ounce of marijuana. Decriminalize it to a civil citation. Personally, we prefer it to be a no fine, no time, no court cost type decriminalization. And this wording of to authorize law enforcement to issue a civil citation for possession of that same quantity of marijuana and or hashish. I mean, I don't know how they're planning on prorating that or anything like that. A no fine, no time, no court cost program will be a whole lot easier. But this isn't a bad piece of legislation. Again, that's H3276. The control, and the summary is to amend section 4453370 of the Controlled Substances Act.
So this one amends the other one? It takes away
they're two separate ones.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And what happens with how legislation works, and actually I hear this at federal level as well. Why is there so many gosh darn marijuana bills? Just legalize it already. You know, why pass this one? What's the difference with that one? None of them are going to get anywhere.
Why don't you let us vote? We'll tell you what we want.
Well, I'm hearing it from other people, people going.
Right, I understand.
And instead, what it is it's sort of like a high school popularity contest many times. And a good description of that to me was, it's not hard to find a legislator to write a decrim bill. It's hard to find a legislator who's popular enough, who has enough support, who has enough weight behind them to get it to go anywhere, to get others to sign on with them. And otherwise they sort of get hidden, they get forgotten about because they don't get promoted or talked about unless they're moving, unless something's happening with it. And we're the ones they're going to have to talk about it and get it in the news and keep it in front of people if we want this kind of stuff to go anywhere. So we're going to promote the heck out of H3276 here in South Carolina to decriminalize possession of less than an ounce of marijuana or 10 ounces or less of hashish. Couldn't tell you the last time I saw hashish, but they're basing it on old written law as well.
Really, I was going to say they're sort of behind the times.
Yeah, it's based on what's already written in our laws now, which is, first possession of an ounce or less of marijuana or 10 grams or less of hashish, because probably when those laws were written, yeah, some nice Afghani blonde hash or some nice blonde Moroccan, who knows, whatever was rolling around the neighborhood. Um, and of course, they kind of just copy law from other places. What do you got? What do you write in yours? You know, look over at the next state and federal level. I gotta tell you, the high school analogies just really seem to kick in here on that little bit of conversation with our government. Popularity contest is what it is. Um, and that's, that's why we do what we do. And there's still the challenges on that, trying to get people to allow us to come to places. Yeah, it was sort of funny because I know I've mentioned on meetings before, at least to you, Karen, the monthly networking group that I go to just down the street from me at the town hall here on James Island. And usually it's pretty small turnout lately, of half a dozen people or so. So if you're in the James Island area, you service the James Island community, you have a home-based business on James Island, you want to talk about it, whether it's a direct marketing kind of business or whatever, you're selling the water filters or the CBD products or the Avon or the, all that kind of stuff. Come on out. We don't mind if it's, that kind of stuff. Come on out, network. It's a good little group. Of course, they pick on me because all I talk about is marijuana and marijuana, and I talk and I talk and I talk. And we kid. I tell them they can throw pencils at me or whatever if I talk too much, but they never have. They've never thrown anything at me yet. Good group of folks. I don't know why I just went off on that tangent. Right, legislature. Oh, yeah, high school, I guess is part of what it was. But yeah, come on out to that. Those are really the only two pieces of state legislation I want to talk about at the moment. Just before meeting signed on here, I did actually go look at Tom Davis's, I don't even think I kept it on. I think I turned it off. Compassionate Care Act legislation. I've seen no amendment to the segments that we usually object to, the 50% going to law enforcement of the profits and tax revenue. And there was some other language in there. I didn't really dig down to look at it. My main one was that allocation to SLED, the county sheriff's offices. And I'm probably gonna have to go through it. This is just a quick summary. Well, there's a bunch of strike throughs, so there are some things kind of changing, it looks like. After that, let me just kind of peek chapter business. We have been utilizing Action Network to try and come up with a more integrated system for our creating events. If I know, Karen, you've already probably seen it, but others, if you join in on this later, if you happen to see our newest event, the potluck for December 28th, that will link you out to the event on Action Network. The ticket sales are run through that organization. Action Network is a platform developed to service the advocacy community. Their rates are relatively reasonable for us as far as processing rates for the donations and such. We get more than we would on most other donation platforms. And it integrates with an email, although there's things about it I'm not sure how to use yet. I don't want to say it doesn't do this or doesn't do that. Maybe I don't know how it works. If you just got our most recent newsletter, you may have noticed, I have to click a button. I've got some blocking the screen.
Yeah, you couldn't get it to stick on.
Yeah, I think it's sent out. We couldn't get it to actually attach into the email as a PDF. So we had to attach it as a link. And if you went out and you looked at the link and read the newsletter, you may have seen some formatting mess ups. As a matter of fact, a good portion of the director's corner was obscured. And that was my bad because I converted it without really double checking it, and it without completely again understanding how the system works with Action Network. It looks like we're going to have to actually kind of build the newsletter right within the email within the Action Network instead of in an outside document and try and transfer it in. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it
Okay.
out. Other thing going on in chapter business, I'm going to click over on this other. Again, as with other years, we're not doing an election only because we don't have a full board and we don't have candidates.
Oh, wow. Do I get to serve another term?
You do, unless you tell me you're done with me. So there are no elections again this year. And today's conversation with National actually was a lot about local chapter administration. And I tell you, the person leading the group works with Virginia NORML, and they must be a pretty substantial group running up there, because I can't imagine trying to ask people that are currently here and to do some of the things that they're asking some of their board members to do, or things like that. Good example, they're asking each board member to sort of commit to bringing in $1,000 a year to the organization's donations in one way or another. So, $250 every quarter, blah, blah, blah. And it's not like they like throw them off the board if it doesn't happen, but, and they want you to be both a paid member in the local chapter and at the national. And we definitely want our board members to be, members of our paid local, and we ask them, and we prefer that they're paid members of national. It shows a commitment, but I'm desperate enough for the help of any kind. I'd waive that requirement in a hot second. No, my wife says it's a hot minute. I don't know. I get them confused. I don't know which ones are hot, which ones are cold. But,
Only 59 seconds of difference.
what's that?
There's only 59 seconds difference between.
Only 59 seconds of difference, yeah. So there's, I already mentioned the coming event of the potluck. Another event that I'm looking to schedule, and I don't have a set date, but I think it's going to be toward the end of January. I'm going to call it a walk and bike. Almost sounds like Australian for a wake a bike, doesn't it? A walk a bike. A little gathering over at James Island Park. Won't actually go to the point of renting a pavilion, but there's plenty of great lawn space there. Invite people out to walk on the walking path or take a bike around some of the pathways. My wife and I do that quite often, and then join us out on the lawn for a little bit of we'll see what the weather brings, whether it's hot cocoa or whether it's some refreshments after your walk or bike. And just again, a little socializing time if it happens. We'll see. We'll play it by ear, but that was sort of the plan for that. And I don't know if I want to try and go every month with an event. Actually, I had sort of thought skip January and make this one in February for the walk and bike.
Yeah, I thought we were going to do like quarterly or every couple of months. I guess we should just see what's happening.
I'm going to try every 2 months. That's what it was. So the walk and bike is actually not in January. It's going to be like end of February. Sorry about that. And of course, 2 months later, we're in April. And I didn't realize until I was looking at some scheduling, I thought April 20th fell on the Sunday this year because it was a Saturday this past year. But we have a leap year this year, so it actually falls on a Monday. And I wasn't actually planning an official 420 event anyhow. If I can pull together an event, I'm almost thinking more like July, somewhere near-ish to the 4th of July. we'll see if that pans out. Again, I'm going to kind of keep that casual, or maybe it'll be just a beach day event we plan. In our little survey, though, we didn't get a lot of response. We did have people say, let's meet at the beach for some social gathering. And April is beautiful at the beach around here, if you ask me, because it's just not too hot yet. Definitely get toes in the water. Upcoming events, other things, and I'll have to discuss them shortly at our, wow, it's 7:37 already, at our 8 o'clock meeting coming up, the decrim meeting. We are actively starting to work on the Folly Beach petitions. Matter of fact, before the potluck, I'm in my junk room right now, turning it into a little bit more organized junk room. Trying to get all of the stuff that I haul around to the events, t-shirts. Tents are kind of outside, but some of the other stuff, the information we haul with us or mail out, or a little bit more organized. If any of you have seen it on our Facebook page, we've got a start to our little cannabis library going now. So things are going to start happening again for us in 2020. It's slow growth, but we're getting there. And I think this year is going to be our year to sort of light it up a little bit more. If that's the phrase, we're going to light it up a little bit more. And with the decrim petitions, I don't think I have any copies of it. I'm looking like I think I do. I also did file just about a week ago, I think it was, a Freedom of Information Act request with the city of Folly Beach, basically of their, what do they call it, public safety office, their police department, trying to get a clearer picture of how many people are involved in cannabis interactions with law enforcement, arrests, confiscations and shoot away, vehicle searches because law enforcer believes they smell marijuana. I asked a short series of questions and thought, worst comes to worst, if I don't get all the answers or that I thought I wanted to begin with because I didn't ask all the questions, I can ask some more questions later. We'll have to see how that pans out. They have until about the 24th of December to respond, and then even at that point, many a times they have another, I believe, 30 days that they can take to respond. I may be mistaken, it might be another like 2 weeks, they have a 30 days total, but they can always kind of refuse and make you appeal. We've heard some stories from other people saying it's taken them close to a year to get information. Because maybe they did finally get approval to get it, but the fees were like overcharged, and they are allowed to charge a certain amount of fees for printing costs or time to acquire the information. But then this one person I'm thinking about offhand had to take them back to court or back to the state level and say, hey, they're charging fees that are way too much, and they came back and said here's the number it should be. But we'll see how it plays out. Again, with the organization, I'm pulling all the old Folly petitions. I'll start calculating the number that we have in there. That's about it for now. I don't think I have much more. Karen, you have any questions for me before I kind of cut it short?
No.
No? Well, it was good to talk to you today since I missed you on doctor appointment day yesterday.
Yeah. Well, take it or leave it kind of thing.
Well, I know how it is. But it's kind of funny because mine are usually, I have a 10:30 chiropractor. So when we finish our meetings, I got to finish getting ready and scoot out to the doctor. But
okay.
all right, I'm going to cut this short.
Monday.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.